never know how long it's going to take, so I'm going to let it lead in for a minute. Okay, great. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Hi out there. Just to let you guys know, this is something that we pre-recorded a little bit ago, but just for the convention this weekend. I do want to do some housekeeping items. Since this is pre-recorded, we will be in the chat talking to you guys. So if you have comments and questions, please drop them in there and we will talk to you about those. And past that, I guess let's just introduce and welcome in our very special guest today, the one and only Miss Nicole DeBoer. Hello.
Hi.
It's so wonderful to see you.
Hi, honey. It's wonderful to see you and
Thank
your
you so
adorable
much.
ears.
I always have my my
Hi,
signature ears on
everyone.
me doing that. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
And
my.
like I Oh, it's wonderful, and it's for a good cause. We're raising money for GLSEN. That's their website right there. It's for LGBT youth, K to 12, helping them out. I think for us, it's such an important thing. There's so many places that we could redirect people, right? But for us, it's such an important thing, especially right now. It's getting less attention because of everything else that's going on. So we want to give it more attention because those poor kids out there
Exactly.
still need the help and assistance. It's stuff that I'll be honest, I wish that I had when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and no one was out there reaching out to me. When I grew up, and like you probably get it too. There was no like LGBT
I mean,
outreach happening in schools. It was like you shut up.
I did my best. I did my best being a good friend and an ally, but
Right, right.
there's only
But
so
like,
much a
there's
little
only so
tiny
much.
pixie can do. But I did my best.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Not many did, honestly, especially back then. It was like, oh, we're just not talking about that, or you get made fun of, or
Well,
whatever it is. So,
it was just more fun to hang out with people. I
well,
mean, it was just but I do remember some. It was a struggle for some of my friends. It was very hard. So I think this is a very important
yeah,
charity, and
yeah. It was.
yeah,
I mean, I had myself. It was not fun at all. I hated
sure,
school. It was
yeah.
awful. So that's who we're doing. So anyone who wants to, please just donate direct. I can't even talk. Just donate directly to them. We're not collecting it for you guys. We want you to send it directly to them, so that way they everyone knows that it's going right to them. If you want to mention us in your donation, please do. But we are just funneling money to these guys because we believe in their cause and we vetted them. And Wilson Cruz is on their board, so we feel really
Yay,
good
yeah,
about we feel really good about the family tie in there.
yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for that. So, how have you been doing during everything that's going on? And you're coming to us from Canada, right?
I am. I'm back.
That's
I'm
awesome.
in Canada. I'm here a lot. I'm here like more than half the year. I'm up here, and
Right.
then I'm down in
Yeah,
LA
I
as
never get
well.
to see you when you're down here. So yeah.
Mhm.
So
No.
next time you're in town. So yeah, coming to us all the way from what's the weather like in Canada way up there? Is it cold
You
yet?
know what? In Toronto, it's actually pretty beautiful. It's like fall, gorgeous fall weather, and the
Oh,
colors, all the trees are different colored, and
oh,
it's just nice. You just want to bundle up a little bit, but it's sunny and fresh. I mean, it's perfect. So
oh, that's so great. It's been either hot or cold here in LA, and it's the
I
weirdest,
know.
most annoying thing. It's the
I
worst.
know.
It's the worst.
I mean, I
So
was
welcome.
in LA for a bit after Vegas convention
Oh, right, right, right.
at, for
Yeah,
something doesn't matter.
yeah. It was something. Yeah,
And
not for anything in
then
particular. It was a pencil convention that you were at.
I
Yeah,
was there,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
and
like pencils.
but really, I was so happy that it timed out that I could make it to go and picket and stuff and support and
Great. That's
put it.
so
Yeah,
good. Yeah. I haven't been able to go out yet. I'm a SAG member, but I also have a day job, thank God. So
yes,
I haven't
that's
been able
great.
to go out yet. I keep my mornings are always really busy, so I keep trying to find a morning when I can go out. But I definitely will be out there, especially now that WGA has crossed and they have their deal, and so now it's just us trying to hang on. So I will definitely be
Yes,
out there as well as soon as I can.
yeah.
Speaking of which, how like tell us about that, right? Like uh, showing up, doing the thing, why it's important, what people maybe don't get about the whole thing. I feel I I'll tell you something. I did get a message. I won't name names. I did get a message from a person who said that they really enjoyed the when they had that what was it, the fan day for for the strike,
Yeah, I
right?
was there for that.
Were you there for that?
Yeah.
And I kind of had mixed feelings because I do kind of love that they did it one time just to have people in, but people are considering maybe doing it again, and I was like, I don't really know if we want to make it a big like social thing, like it's people out there who are fighting for their ability to pay their rent, and I don't. Do
Right.
you think that the studios even care that there are fans out there? I think that makes it, to me, it makes it feel like, oh, you're just having a party. It's not
I get what
serious.
your concern is, and I know what you mean. And somebody made a comment about who was out there, Hillary Duff or somebody was singing, and they thought that that wasn't,
Right.
copacetic. I mean, if she was out there singing every day, all the time, like go home, Hillary Duff. We don't need you singing all the time out here. But I think that it's great, and it doesn't have to be
Okay.
drudgery. And we are wonderful, awesome, community of people. So I think it's okay for it to be fun and positive. And I think,
Okay.
listen, if we can have the support, the more supportive people, I
Okay.
think the better. I don't know how many of those. I think one more wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Certainly,
Uh-huh.
having been there that day with
Uh-huh.
fans being there, it was great because as you were started to touch on, so many people didn't really understand it or say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm sorry. We're supposed to feel sorry for actors who make so much money and we don't really get it."
Right.
And so it was a way for people to understand it more. And, these fans were so supportive. And so it
Mhm.
was an extension of that support. And it was really nice to have that. So I don't know. I
Okay.
think the more
All right. I love
people
it.
who are there supporting us, we need that support, you
Okay.
know?
All right. I love that. No, I love that. I love that angle. Yeah. It's a weird line to walk to, right? Because yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, and there was
obviously.
dancing and stuff because you're out there and it was really hot. It was so
Yeah.
hot. And so
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. It's
you're doing
uncomfortable.
the beat, you're doing the walk, but you're doing the chants, you're doing the whatever. And there's nothing wrong with, having some fun too,
Sure. 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 No, that's
and
great.
we're
That's
entertainers. So,
right. Yeah. Right. Right. And there's no cameras around, so it's totally fine. No, that is
oh,
great.
there were
No, that's great.
cameras. There were
Other,
cameras. They were on here.
but just
And
not,
they would
just not
they would
studio
get,
cam.
certain actors, like, certain actors had to go stand there. And some of the older, people, they pretty much came and were just put on that corner to say their piece, and they said it wonderfully, but we didn't make
Right.
them walk a ton in
Walk
the
a ton. I
sun.
mean, that's kind of fair. That's kind of fair. It's great
No,
that
it's
they.
fair. It's
Oh
fair.
yeah,
Some
that
people
is
do the
fair.
walking, some people do
You do
the
what you can.
talking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. You
right. That's
you
right.
you
But yeah,
park and bark. That's what
overall,
you want.
people just don't, it bums me out if I start to read some comments sometimes on,
Yeah.
on the SAG on uh where, oh, boo-hoo, I don't care. And it's like we're not made up of, like, yes, there's the big stars, which I don't know where some of them are, but
Speaking of
like
people who aren't
the
talking
Tom
out a lot.
Cruises. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like most of SAG is working actors. Like you're just working to get by, and just because
Right.
you see an actor, I mean, Michelle Hurd said it so well. I saw her
Yes.
talking about it. Just because you see my face on shows doesn't mean. I mean, sometimes there's something I did earlier this year that was a huge deal to me, working with a really big actor,
Who?
and
You can tell
um,
us who.
I can say who, I can't say what it was.
We'll just say who
Uh,
then.
it it was Oscar winner Kathy Bates that I worked with this year.
I love her so much.
I mean, I love her so much. And not only is she amazing, it was really a thrill to work with her and
Did you
do
get to
these
say something like
emotional.
really horrible to her? That's always
No,
fun.
we had like emotional scenes, just
Oh, fun.
just Kathy and me looking in deep into each other's eyes. It was
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. So people will see that and think, well, that took me one day of work.
Right.
And that one day of work
They
was
don't pay you $1 million
scale,
for one day of work.
scale, one day of work, scale, and that was in Canada. And, and, and I haven't worked since.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, yeah, 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 yeah. People
I can't
don't,
live
yeah,
off that one day of work
that one
scale.
day of work, yeah.
And yeah.
It's
So
it's weird because I feel like the industry wants people somehow to think that everyone is just rich for, and maybe that's the studios, that it's easy for them to perpetuate that because then no one will feel sorry for actors who aren't making
that's
any money
right.
in the moment, and
And
maybe
when
it's
the
it's
when
part of
these
the whole thing.
when these streamers first came on, I mean, I remember because I've been working on shows for networks, whatever, and
Right.
it was very much like, oh, well, we're just a little streamer. So you're used to making that big old money, but we're just new and we're a little streamer. So you're
Yes.
all going to have to take a 30% cut or
Right.
whatever if
Yeah.
you want the show to be picked up on our little old streamer for us to do it.
Right.
So
Little old
everybody's like,
Netflix. Yeah.
so then we did it. And so
Right.
then that became the norm. And now they're not little old streamers anymore. They're making so
Nope.
much money and they're not transparent about
They're
what
not
they're making
transparent
or
about.
their viewership.
Right.
And this, honestly, it's a bunch of BS. Like,
It is a
really
bunch of
is.
BS. It
And
is a bunch of
so
BS.
it's
But
like
that's stuff that
making
people
less
don't know
than what
either.
we made back
Right.
then, and
Right.
they expect us to love it and take it. And
Right.
it's really shocking. It's actually so shocking to hear their, what they are doing at these meetings and walking away and like acting like, you should be so lucky.
You should be so
Like,
lucky, yeah. But that's kind of I mean, that's kind of the industry as a whole, and I feel like that's how a lot of times people get run over and the bar just lowers and lowers and lowers, is because they
yeah,
tell you should be so lucky, and people
yeah,
believe it, or they need the money bad enough that they'll just keep
yes,
lowering the bar for themselves, right?
yes, yes,
But who does that in any
exactly.
other industry? Like if you work at, wherever, like at a, well, I can't say the auto industry because they're striking too. But if you work
Right.
anywhere else and someone's like, oh, you should be really lucky to work at Bloomingdale's, you'd be like, okay, I'll just do it for free. Like people
I
have
know.
to work, they
And
have to
then it
do the
turns
thing.
people against each other too, and
Yeah,
that's awful.
yeah.
But it's happening across the board, not just in our
It's
industry,
not just in our industry. You're right. I mean, the auto
Yeah.
workers are still
So it's
going at it.
it's a very
Healthcare.
important fight. It's like really tough because so many people are just not working, and it's very, very, very difficult. People are getting extra mortgages. People are whatever. I mean,
I know.
it's a very difficult time, but it's a very important fight. And it's probably going to be like, I would think, like a 3-year thing, and kick it down the road a little bit till we see what AI is doing, which is going to be a massive disruptor in
Yep.
all areas, not just our field. So it's not surprising to me. A lot of people thought, oh, now that the WGA one's all wrapped up, SAG will. And I'm like, but it's different. It's our
It's different.
faces.
It's yeah.
And so this is going to be a little
Yeah.
more of a fight. And
Yeah.
I kind of figured that, but it's a very important one. So we have to hang in there. And yes, all the support, we need all the support that we can get.
Great. All right, I'll throw that back to that person I was talking about. Be like, hey, if this is well organized and you get a whole bunch of people, I think that would be good. Yeah, that's great. I think something else that's hilarious that I don't think that people see a lot is if you're working on something that's not a huge thing, the last, like if you have just a list of every single person that works on the production, the last person they want to give money to is the actor. The very last person. If they can avoid giving you any money, they will. But you're
I know.
the last one that they want to pay. And it's like, how would you make this without me? Not that I need to be paid the most out of everyone, but like at least like take me into account when you're
I know.
making a budget. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many like friends that work on like TV shows that have like asked me to do something just for free, right? And it's like, are you paying the sound guy? Are you paying the light guy?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, yes,
right.
you are. You
Yeah.
absolutely
Oh,
are.
we're paying
Yeah,
them. First,
we're
we got
paying
to pay
them.
them.
Okay. And then yeah, so I don't think that people realize that either. Like I think that people think that actors and something are always lifted up, but it's just not true. People will avoid paying you at all costs, because I think I think their shtick is that you'll get exposure from it and you'll get more money down the road because of it, but that never happens. So
I mean, it does happen to a degree, but you also have to be, when you're actually getting the work, you have to have money to sustain you and to get your health insurance. I mean, the health
that's
insurance,
also
we
what
all
people don't.
know, that's huge.
Yeah,
And, you have
and
to make
just
that minimum 27,000, 26,000 or whatever a year to
yep.
get that health insurance.
Yeah, I don't think people don't realize that too. You can be like, I'm in the union, but I don't make that much money, so I don't get any health care from it. Luckily, I do from somewhere else. But if you
Right.
don't make enough money, you don't get health care. Like it's, and it affects every single person too. That's another thing I don't think that people realize. Even if you're like an A-list top actor, if you don't do any work that year, you don't get health care. They can afford not to, and it's probably fine for them. But you don't get it just because you're a big name or you worked a lot in the past or whatever. If you don't work this year, you get no health care. Yeah.
Like I was timing out when to have my daughter, because I would have coverage to have her.
Yeah.
and then one show ended. But I'd just been on a show for many years, but
Yeah.
then it quickly kicks you out. Like,
That's right.
I gotta get pregnant
Wait,
and have a
wait,
kid, or else
Yeah.
I'm covered to have her.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
crazy.
expensive in LA, and I was in LA because that's where my work was.
Yeah.
And you look like a big star, and it looks like it's all great, but it's still like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's still a job at the end of the
it's
day, right?
a
Like still got to do
job.
the thing. Yeah. I know several of the people now who are doing the same thing because now we're reaching end of the year, right? And because stuff hasn't been filming for a long time, people's insurance is going to run out because they haven't been able to make money. So it's a
That's
lot
right.
more than just like I'm famous and want to do work and be on TV. Like this is people's livelihoods. Like even health, is involved. It's not just like, oh, I don't have, extra yacht money this week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird time. And then I don't like that everything's called content. I mean, okay, maybe some things are content, but other
Right.
things are art. It's freaking art.
That's so true.
Okay? Like, I'm
No, that is
sorry.
so true. Yeah. Me, like,
Uh,
putting myself in front of something and, like, crying and, like, making all these things happen is not just content. No, that's fair. Yeah.
it's
That's a good point.
brittle. And I can't handle it if all our bosses are going to be just Silicon Valley one day or something, tech
Oh, I
people,
don't,
It's like,
yeah. I,
yeah.
I,
I
I,
think it's tech people, but stay in your lane. Like if we're
well,
going
yeah.
out there and we're creating for you and we're earning awards and for these shows, I mean, some respect. Give us the 54 cents out of your, whatever subscription thing so people can actually
Right.
make an earning wage. And of course, as we know too, like it used to be if you're on network shows or whatever, if you're so lucky, I got a job. And meanwhile, you've run up your credit cards or whatever. Now you
Trying to
got a
get the
job,
job.
you
Yeah.
can kind of get out of debt, and that job would be like 22, 26 episodes if you managed to lucky enough be a
Back
lead,
then. Yeah.
right? Or even being a recurring would be nice because you don't know, they call you as you go, but there's 22 episodes, 26 episodes. So
You
you're
got a
like,
lot of opportunity. Yeah.
maybe I got some opportunity to recur a fair bit in this, and feed my family. But nowadays, you're lucky if it's like 10
10,
or 8
10. Yeah.
or
Or 8. Yeah. Yeah.
what?
What?
So
Yeah.
for writers, like that's not great. For actors, you can't go,
Right.
okay, I got a job
Yeah.
this year. No, you don't.
No,
You
no, you
got
don't. No, you don't.
a job
You got a little
for a little
tiny
bit.
couple of months. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
then
I,
sometimes they put restrictions on you and you can't work on other things, which made sense back when it was
right,
26 episodes. Sure, okay, I understand.
right. Also,
But
when would you have
it's
had time? Like,
yeah, exactly. So yes, there's just a lot of things that are very, very important
yeah.
that
And then taking that pay cut to go to streaming, and then they do less episodes on top of that because you would get paid
that's
per
right.
episode, but you're getting less per episode, and there are less episodes. So yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's
I can't
sad.
believe this. I can't believe the sticking point for the studios is the AI thing. Like, they just demand that they can use your face forever because you worked once. Like, that's awful
Well,
and
this is
gross.
what I'm saying, like, I have to look again, like, who all are they dealing with at the table? But that does feel like tech to me, who just don't have a clue and are making, I think, backdoor, deals with these companies that do the amazing, the aging that they did, the de-aging that they did
Right,
on
right,
all
right.
those actors.
Yeah,
That company has signed deals with big actors, the big ones. And
right.
you think about it, those big guys that are aging, I think it sounds great to them. They can keep on making movies, and their
Right.
kids and their estate can make that money. I saw Mick Jagger talking about touring forever with a hologram version of him. I mean,
Well, ABBA is doing it, and
so
the
you can
yeah,
see why to those big established stars why the AI stuff might not sound horrible.
that's so
But
true. That's a good point.
I don't know. That's what I think I wonder about.
I don't
But
know. I just feel like also if they can avoid hiring it, like I said, they don't want to pay actors. So if they can just generate an actor, why not do that instead of actually paying a person?
that's
So I think
right.
it's probably both.
I do think that even no matter if we sign this deal and stuff, even so, it's gonna massively be changing,
Yes.
and it's gonna be a big disruptor. So we'll
Yeah.
see. But I think
That's
maybe there'll be
supposed to be
those
right.
types of entertainment, and then people will still want real
Real people. Yeah. And
soul,
like
like a
we have.
soul. Like it'll be weird to
So,
watch a
no.
performance where
Yeah.
that's
It's
just
a
an
robot.
AI. It's not at all
Right.
coming from a soul of a person. So that's
Right.
kind of
Right.
creepy and weird, and more like a video game. in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I just don't think that there's still going to be a want for that.
I
Um,
definitely think so, and I mean, just my opinion, but I think that that will happen more and more as time goes on. It's like a lot of that stuff is happening already, not with
I
like
see it on
actors.
my feed. Don't you see stuff on your feed constantly where you're like, "Okay, that's not a real person, that's an
Yeah.
AI person, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
creepy, and it's got the creepy voice and the creepy
Yes. Yeah. And who
composite
wants to watch that?
guy," and
Like,
I'm like, "This is creepy.
you
I
want to
wouldn't
watch a
wanna
whole
watch a
movie?
whole
No.
movie of
No.
that." Now it will get exponentially better and
Right.
improve as you
Right.
feed they just wanna
Right.
feed the
But
big fat
that's what we're fighting against is you can't
That's what
feed
we're
my face
fighting
into
against.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah.
feed my face into the beast. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it hurts. And I've heard even background actors now, like they're doing
Yeah.
that too, and
They're
not
doing it.
telling them that they're doing it.
Yeah.
They show up on set for one day, and they're like, "You have to do a scan today," and the background actors don't know what
And
that
you know what?
means.
That's fine maybe, then pay them, but the
But they don't want to
contract
pay
should
them.
be
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that you don't get both.
They
"Sorry,
don't get
you
both.
don't get
No,
to
you
scan me
can scan
once
me and pay
and
me every
pay
time
me
you use it.
$150 today and then
Right,
use
and
my
never again.
scan in
Yeah,
every movie, everywhere." No,
yeah.
then you pay me.
No, then you
That's
pay
what you
me.
do. You
Yeah,
give me a cut of that because that's my image, which
yeah.
I should own, which
Right.
I should have a copyright. So there's gonna be a lot of litigation, and that's where you're going to set precedents,
Mm,
and that's where we're going to be having to fight this
that's
fight,
that's smart.
right?
That is
Because
very
I've
true.
heard
Yeah.
of actors who were watching TV on like what do you call it, documentary, and heard
Hmm.
his voice as the narrator, and he never narrated it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, a big actor
What
that
did
I've
they?
met, and someone through you and I both know. He introduced me to him, and so there's a lawsuit happening, and so
Good.
that's the kind of stuff that's. I mean,
But if you don't happen to hear it,
the cojones!
then
You're
like,
gonna
yeah.
go and use this big
Uh-huh.
actor's voice on
Voice.
your
Yeah.
documentary, like AI. It's all AI.
Yeah. Sadly, the audio part of the AI is really good already. The video,
Yeah.
like
Oh
you
yeah.
said, looks
Oh
creepy,
yeah.
but audio, you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, that actually I believe that that's that person, and that's scary
Yeah.
that we're already that far in, right?
It's
I
scary.
watched a video the other day and just literally using tools for free at your house. They took a song that was by one artist and just
Yep.
fed it into the voice of the other artist, and it sounded like the other artist was singing the song that they'd never sung before in their whole life. I won't mention names because I don't want to get sued, but
Oh,
it
it's
was two
happening.
artists, and
It's
I was like, it sounds like
it's
that person is
wild.
singing that song and they never did, right? Audio is a lot
No,
easier to fake,
it's
so.
happening so quickly. That's why some people I talk to go, "Oh, that's never gonna happen," and I'm like, "It's happening."
It
Or
already is.
yeah, or I just love where I see on like there was some Canadian version of like that big talk show. We have one of these here, and they'll be talking about like it's the greatest thing. Like so, oh my god! So you can this is what you're saying. So you can take Meryl Streep and just say, I would like a Meryl Streep movie where I'm writing the story. So like Meryl Streep like sells hats on the street, and then she meets this guy, and we're gonna make it. And so that can happen. And the woman's like, yes, that's what's going to be happening. You can
Yep,
just take Meryl Streep and make a movie with her.
yep,
And they're like,
yep.
wow, it's so great. I'm like,
No, it's not.
how can you sit there and think that's so great with not even thinking for a moment that that is not cool? Like
Right,
without that
right,
person. Oh
right.
my God.
And I mean, honestly, if it were a situation where like Meryl Streep were getting money for that every
Money.
time it happened, and there was no way to use it poorly, but what's going to
No,
happen is like people are going to steal it, people are going to take it, people are going to do
that
terrible
is
things with it.
happening.
Like, yeah,
That is happening. And if you saw, I mean, a lot of people talked about that one show where there's this one TV show that does anthology series, and their first episode was all about that. And it's right
yes,
there.
yes,
Joan
it's
is awful.
right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yes,
So it's
right
right
there.
there. And that's what I'm saying, that I think these bigger actors have made those deals already. And
Well, I mean, it's honestly, if somebody walked up to me and be like, "I want to make this deal with
yeah,
you and I'll pay you," I'd be like, "Oh, well, that's
yeah,
like if I'm going to get
yeah,
locked in and paid for this, let's
yeah.
start there." Yeah,
Yeah. And if you can make 3 movies at once and you don't really have to be there,
Right.
sure, that sounds great, and I'm going to
As
get
long as I'm
paid
getting
for it.
paid. Yeah.
Right, but that then comes down to then, yes,
But you get to choose that, right?
background
Like,
performers should be paid. People
yes.
should be paid.
Yes, yeah, I've done background work. It's not easy.
It's not.
Like it is rough. It's like people think like, oh, you just like no, like that's so like I just stopped doing it just because I couldn't deal with like sitting
It's a
there for
lot.
12 hours like doing absolutely nothing except for the 5 minutes they need you. But you're always going to be the one waiting because everyone's more important, right? So
Yeah, yes,
but they're
that's
never going to be like,
right.
oh, the background guys have been waiting for a while. Let's get them in. No, you sit there as a prop and you wait until they decide that they need you. No one ever cares. But people do that like as their whole gig. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
make enough
yeah,
money, and it's great. I think that people should be able to do that. Like you're in the industry, you're working, you're obviously they need you or they wouldn't have hired you because things look
yeah.
stupid if it's just a big empty room all the time, right? So I think it's important, and I think I think it was Michelle Hurd that talked about that. They said, well, they're just going to be blurry anyway, and like, how awful is that? So that like that's somebody's job, and they love doing it, and they want
But
to be there. You're not even
but
paying them that much to begin
who
with.
said they're just going to be blurry anyway? One
The
of these
studios,
people
yeah,
that don't know anything about one of the ones that don't know anything about actually making stuff. Again,
right,
my to my
sure,
point, right?
yeah,
They're not blurry. The whole point of background performers is to create the feeling of where you are. They're not
yes, yeah,
blurry. Maybe
right,
sometimes you're blurry, but that's the whole point. On the
right.
show that
When you
that
like
I
move
was
around and
on,
like different
I was so
cameras in it,
impressed by the background performers there because
yeah,
it created the whole feeling that made you believe that we were there. And the
right.
background
And
performers
it
were
helps the
important.
actors too, like the principal
Yes,
actors too, right? Because you feel like you're in a room full of people,
you're
and then you
really
have to like whisper and like stuff like that, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. People don't realize that sitting in I think that's another, like, unrelated to the whole thing, but just sitting in like a green room and trying to act is not what it is. Like, I think it's Sir
yeah,
Ian McKellen who was like, I signed up to be an actor, not whatever this is, when they like stuck him in a
right.
green room talking
And
to a
now, listen,
principal.
at the same token, I will say that we can't be, we have to move with the times and we have to realize
Totally.
that some jobs do go obsolete and some things happen like that, but we can't have a massive, making jobs obsolete.
Right.
I can see how
Ones
with
that are
background
needed.
actors,
Yeah.
technology does allow you to, and, but not all the time. And you
No.
should be compensated.
Sure,
So it's just
absolutely. Oh, you should
so
always
extremely
be compensated. Yeah.
unfair,
Yeah.
the way that
I mean,
they
I
want
get
to.
if they need like a stadium of 20,000 people, they don't have to hire
Of
20,000
course,
people.
you
That's fine.
don't,
Right.
yeah,
We all get
yes,
that. Yeah. But if you're in
we
a
get that,
restaurant and you want to like CG some
yeah,
poor woman instead of putting a woman in that chair, like that's just ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's more of, so does that mean that becomes all green screen kind of acting too
Yeah.
for the actors, which is
Yeah.
cool if you're doing a big, type of action, hero, whatever, but if there's no real people there and you're putting them in post and everything's in post and everything's in post, it suits certain genres maybe to do that, and again, like video games and big genres of
Sure.
whatever, but not other types of films
No.
and
Yeah.
programs. Like, you want the real
You want real stuff.
people, the real, so,
Yeah.
like I say, I think the best, because I can go down get really depressed about it, like, get
Oh
really
no,
depressed
don't.
because I can see where it is going to be massively disrupting.
Right.
But
Right.
my hope is that there will just be simply people get over scared when things like this happen and change is coming. And I think it's going to settle in somewhere in the middle. And there's going to be two
Right.
types of entertainment ultimately, I think,
That's really interesting.
to
Yeah, I
be
didn't
made.
think about that. That will just, there will be the like fakey generated stuff, and some people will be okay
Yeah.
with that. I mean, for me, like I have seen people go more back analogy kind of stuff
Yeah.
just lately. I like even like I think what did they say? I think like vinyl record sales are the highest they've been since like
This is what I'm
1980 or
saying.
something. So I think people are gonna get tired of the like
When
digital
people really
fake
get it.
plastic sugar,
Yes,
like all of that.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm trying to scream it out as loud as I can, and I follow Justine Bateman, and she's trying to scream about it. I'm trying to get people to understand because I know they're gonna be pissed. Like, I've tried to talk
Yes.
to my teenage daughter who wants to take film, and I overhear her and her friends talking about, that they like the practical, in
Yeah.
Lucasfilms versus the,
See?
and I'm
Yeah.
like, "You're worried about that? Like, wait till I tell you what's
Wait.
gonna happen." And,
What do you see? What's really gonna happen? Yeah.
I know. And when I try to talk to my daughter, she's like, la, 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 I don't want to hear about it. I want to go to film school and I don't want it
Right.
ruining. And I'm like, okay, so
You
actually
have to be
your
realistic.
generation needs to hear this so that
Yes.
you get pissed and
Yes.
get out in the streets and, get people aware of it and stop it because they're not who's going to want that? And also the collaboration process of creating and being like one of the best things I love about it is that collaboration and going to work and being on a set. And that's, what
Yeah,
my
it's
daughter
totally
wants to do.
yeah.
And to take that all away, I
Yeah.
mean,
For
what
what?
are we
For so
supposed to
somebody can have
do?
more money? Then they don't even
Yes,
need. Like the
you've got
studio
to
people have
have
so much
you
money.
gotta lie down in bed at the end of the night and feel like you were worthy and you did something and you were part
Yeah.
of something. I mean, that's what human beings need.
Some
Um,
people just don't feel like that, and those are the ones making the studio decisions, I feel like.
or we're just all gonna be like in that one movie where everybody's just in their little cars, smoking
Yeah.
sodas and eating their
It's true.
chips and watching
It's
TV
true.
and
It's all fake TV, so you can generate
getting
whatever you want all day long. Yeah. We don't want that. We don't want that, kids. We don't want that.
no, because
We don't
we
want
love
that.
to create and collaborate, and that's what it's all about. And we
It's
have
true.
to fight for the arts and
Yeah, no, it's very true. I have a friend who is an actor, and he lives in Belgium. And
mm,
they have a whole system there where they take care of their creative people. So if you're not currently like doing acting work or whatever, the government pays you
right.
until you get more work. That way you can keep looking for actual acting work instead of having to get a side job and this other thing and it interferes and you can't do it. Obviously, you can't just live off of it forever. Like you have to be like auditioning and stuff like that. But
Right, right.
they just do it. Like if you are you sign up, or I don't know how the process works or whatever. But if you're listed as your job as an actor, they give you money when you're not working, so you can keep trying to find work.
Isn't that
And that
great?
keeps creative people like creating and being able to do that stuff. Yeah, that's great. If only, but it
That
does
is
exist somewhere in the
great.
world, which is great to know, I guess. Right?
Yeah, Europe can do so many cool things because they're smaller and they
That's true.
generally have populations where people are more of like mind. At least that used to be, but everybody's getting torn apart everywhere in every country now, unfortunately. But they can do really cool stuff over there
That's
with
true.
that.
Yeah.
And with also with like environmental stuff, they can do a lot more. And we have like a lot of good grants here in Canada for performers, writers, and
Oh, that's
stuff. But
nice.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like endless. It's not a
Right.
bottomless,
Right. Of course. Of course.
but we have to
Cool.
support the arts for sure.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah, people watching it, people doing it, like everyone involved enjoys it. It's ridiculous to try and take it away just for a bigger yacht for some random person. It's
Yeah.
just gross. It's just gross. Okay, well, we are at time, and so
What?
thank you so much for. Yeah, it's. I'm checking the thing right now. We're over our half an hour that we had scheduled for you. We can keep
Oh
going,
wow,
but
that
I
just
mean, like, it
flew
just flew by,
by.
right? Yeah.
Oh, I want to say goodbye. I miss your face. I hope I get to see you
Well,
when I
next time
get
you're in
back.
town, yeah,
Yes,
let us know for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And thanks for having me on. And you're always doing such cool stuff and like
Thank you.
trying to give back. And that's why I love you so much. You're just such an awesome human being, and
Oh,
I
you're
love
so
you.
sweet. Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do it without the rest of the team either. They're just out here
Of
on the
course,
stream
the
today,
team.
but like they hold me up and tell me when I need to do the thing that I'm not doing and all the things.
Yeah,
So it's a group effort, but we love doing it, and we love you guys for coming to help and support and giving us your precious time.
absolutely.
I'm going to flash up the charity once again for anyone who hasn't visited during this particular interview. Please go give them a look, give them a buck, whatever you can do. And thank you so much, Nicole, for showing up today
Oh,
and doing the thing. We love you so much.
my pleasure.
Have
Mwah.
a wonderful one. Thanks.
Bye, honey.